Well, I thought I'd take a minute and do a quick garden update. We've been cleaning up after the storms we had last week, and the garden's all drained out pretty quickly. I actually had to start watering some of the raised beds yesterday. But the storms did damage some of the vegetables a little bit. Nothing too big. Pulled all the peas off the trellises, and they were laying down all over the ground on the other plants, and big tangled mess. But we were able to get them back up without too much damage. So these are some of my pots. Some 2 little pepper plants. Some candula flowers. There's some more candulas in here. These are some pansies that are just about done. They overwintered from last year. And some chives and oregano. I'm going to start cutting the oregano from here. Mosquitoes are bad tonight. And the other garden, start dehydrating that. This is the second planting of beans. It's the tender green beans, same variety in the other garden. And the okra has not been doing well at all. It hasn't liked all the rain, I guess. Something's been eating it. And cucumbers are coming up over there fine. The rest of the garden's in red potatoes. And there's some brandywine tomatoes over here too. They're doing pretty good, considering they were planted late. This garden, the weeds have gone crazy, and we got to get out and till it up too. But the cucumbers are along the front row. I still have some of the Asian cucumbers left, but the 2 weeks of rain we had, pretty much a lot of them started getting funguses and rotting out. And the rest of the garden was planted in broccoli seed, but it hasn't seemed to have come up. That's why we were waiting on, that's why we were waiting on tilling it, because we wanted to make sure if it was going to come up or not, in case the rain had washed the seed out of the furrows. This is the new garden we put in this year with the butternut squash plants. They had come up really well, but then we got attacked by cucumber beetles and squash bugs again, and we only have 3 plants left. So I broke down and used some Roatine a couple days ago, and it seems to be working really well. I like to use organic methods when I can, but nothing seems to work with the squash bugs or the cucumbers for us. We haven't had very many cucumbers or squash for the last couple of years because of these bugs, which seems to be a new problem for us because I'd never had trouble before. Did some research online, and the Ontario Organic Ontario page I found was recommending Roatine, which comes from plant roots and has been used for a long time. So that seems to work really well for us. I did try neem oil and some other things last year, and of course hand squashing, but that doesn't work very well. And when you have hundreds or thousands of bugs you're dealing with, you just can't keep up on them. These are the peas that had been ripped off the trellises by the wind and the heavy rains of the storm. They had been pushed over and they were tangled up all in the onions on the other side here. And it was a pretty big tangled mess. But we were able to lift them up, and I've tied them up to the trellis, so hopefully they'll stay okay. They're producing really well. And I'm going to be starting to pick peas tonight or tomorrow and start canning and dehydrating them. I started weeding from the other end of the garden, working back this way now. This area, some of the beets are ready to pick, and I'm going to start making some pickled beets, which are my favorite this week. And the summer turnips are ready as well. Where are they here? Some really nice summer turnips in here. And I'm going to try to dehydrate those and see how they do. And maybe can a few as well. I was reading about that rutabagas apparently get strong tasting when canned, but summer turnips are okay. The cabbages are doing well. There's a few of them that have been nibbled on by some bugs, and I looked really close and I couldn't find any cabbage worms anywhere. But what I have found is earwigs. making a mess of things. So I think that's my culprit right now. Although they don't seem to like the red ones as much. They haven't touched them very well. These plants are doing great. You can see how big the leaves are. Gorgeous. I can't wait to start getting some of them. The huckleberries are doing really well. They're flowering and they're starting to set fruit. If I can find some more here to show you. Oh, here's some under here. They're really loaded and they're still growing and still producing more flower buds. So I'm really looking forward to trying these this fall. And we've got little tomatoes starting too. See them in here. These are the Henderson pinks that I keep talking about, how well they've done for us. Now all the heavy rains that we've had has started causing a bit of blight in some places. But I'm hoping the plants will recover from that. It's early blight, not late blight, so it's not quite as bad. So all the different types of tomatoes. I gotta get out and tie them up to their posts tomorrow. We're having a bit of a heat wave starting here. It was 30 degrees by noon, plus the heat index was pushing into the mid-30s. I hear by Wednesday it's supposed to feel into the 40s. That's nasty. Lots more tomato plants. Our Italian zucchinis, and you can see the leaves and the stalks that started dying from the squash bugs. I haven't seen any more since I sprayed so far. And the eggplants, which are getting taken over by the zucchinis. You always forget how big these plants get. But we started harvesting some zucchini already. I just picked 2 big ones there the other day. Lots of little ones in here. I made some zucchini bread and I've got the dehydrator full of shredded zucchini. There's some more. Looks like we're going to be picking lots this week. More tomatoes. These are some volunteer purple potato plants. Missed digging a few up last year. And we left one row over on the other side of the garden there, because we was just raining so hard there in the fall it wasn't worth digging them up. But they all came up and they're growing really well, so we'll have a free row of potatoes to dig up. We're thinking of planting a row or 2 in this fall and to double test it and see how well they come up. And we just might start doing that and save the time in the spring. I've been pulling up some of the volunteer potato plants already with new potatoes on them. They worked really well. This area was planted with some tomato plants. Most of them are gone. They were smaller ones that were the last planted out from the greenhouse. Mostly Celebrity and Bonnie Best. And there's a couple of them here we found when we weeded out. Most of them were under all that water that was in the garden, at least 8 inches. And then the weeds shot up like insane here. They were almost knee-high, mostly pigweed. But we cleared all that out and didn't see very many of the tomato plants left. There's a few. So we may till up the areas around them and I'll add some new plants in here. The corn's doing not too bad. It seems the germination is a lot spottier compared to the hybrids. You can see like that one came up really early, and then some of them are starting to fill in that didn't come up. They were planted 4 inches apart originally. Now we planted, this is Golden Bantam, and we planted another variety of Golden Bantam. I think it was the early one. I can't remember which was which. In the kids' garden, it came up much, much better. So it could be that we just planted a little too soon for this. Maybe the heirlooms really need to wait an extra few weeks. It's hard to say. But so far, it's growing better than any heirloom corn that I have tried before. And all around these, we planted pumpkins. You can see the round leaves in there. So this is the next area for me to work on. Getting the grass out is through the corn and the pumpkins. Just wish every gardener wishes that their plants could grow as well as the weeds when you get lots of rain. This garden up here is the red and purple potatoes. And by red I mean the ones that are red all the way through. And they came up, that rain actually did these really well. They came up well. Okay, in the greenhouse here, I've planted some Cherokee purple tomatoes. These have only been in the ground for about a week, and they're growing well. And then there's a couple of Bonnie Best tomatoes on this side. And I'm thinking I might plant a few cucumber plants in around here as well. See how long we can keep them growing into the fall. We're working on building a grape arbor here as an entranceway into the raised bed and greenhouse area. So I can't wait till that's done. I think it'll look really nice. Our beans are doing well. I was surprised by these ones. I haven't grown the tender green before. And they almost seem that they're like divine. They're supposed to be a bush bean, but they'll really grow. You can see how they're actually climbing up the chicken wire. And I did a little research about the variety online today, and they're considered a medium to large bush bean that can get 2 feet high. And I didn't realize that, but they're supposed to produce really well, so hope so. And they just started flowering today. Sorry, the mosquitoes are, if the camera's shaky, the mosquitoes are mobbing me. So our lettuce, I'm going to be doing a big picking off this tomorrow. I've already done 2 or 3 pickings through this. I harvest the outer leaves so that the plant continues to grow. And I pulled out all the spinach and the radishes that were, and I'm going to turn the soil over and put in another planting tomorrow, I hope. And the Swiss chard's doing good now that it's not being crowded out by the spinach. You can see these are the peas as well, were pulled off the trellis and they were knocked down over top of the beans. You can see where the beans started dying off, and it was an awful tangled mess. But we managed to get them back, managed to get them back up and tied them up for some extra support, and they seem to be recovering. And they are loaded with peas. These are my favorite pea variety, Laxton's Progress. I started growing some by mistake last year, and it's definitely my favorite. But we need to put in some higher trellises. They grow way higher than the old heirloom, the other heirloom variety, Homesteader, I used to grow. It will only get maybe 2-3 feet tops. These will easily clear 6. So I'm thinking maybe hog panels or some kind of heavy fencing if we can get it for next year. The carrots have filled in real nice. And some of the younger ones that I've planted, when they didn't come up very well, some of the places where I filled in with seed, smaller carrots are coming up to fill in. So hopefully it'll be pretty good after all. Yeah. There was one here that was starting to pop above the ground a little bit. Ow. Right here. You can see the carrot starting to form a nice base.
Well, the potatoes have shot up a lot with the rain we had. That last video I showed you with all the water in it, that water was actually gone the next day. So they're growing really well, like they usually would. They're about up to my waist almost. The last patch last year got up to about here. But this, they're not done yet, but the rain, you know, might have stunted them. We had some hot, dry weather too, so it's been a different growing season, of course, than last year. Now there's a one patch over in this garden that you'll notice they didn't grow as well. I noticed this last year with the tomatoes we had, most of this garden tomatoes. And they did the same thing, so we're thinking that there's bedrock under that it could just dry really fast.
Yeah.
Or it could be a small gravel deposit. This property is really unique that way. There's gravel and hard clay, and then there's bedrock all over the place. I mean, it's about an acre. It's amazing the differences. So, but I mean, I expect to get a pretty much close yield of what we did last year. So, and the front patches
walk over.
A little farther behind, of course, because they got planted so much later, and it's a new garden. It's a little rough. That sod was really thick sod on that front part there, and man, I had a heck of a time busting it up.
These ones are holding their own. The sunberries, they're starting to catch up and grow. And the strawberries on the other side haven't done anything yet. Those were those alpine strawberries.
This is really hard on the pillar busting it up. You can see the grass is a lot thicker here. And it's more moist here all the time. Matter of fact, in the spring it's usually a pond down that corner. And I have to go through this and weed it, but you can see even how mucky this still is.
Yeah.
So it was hard to hill.
We'll have to do this one by hand.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, like I don't know how this garden's going to be. If anything, I thought it would do well because it's moist most of the year.
Right.
But too much wetness.
That horsetail weed's coming up in here like crazy. That's that stuff that looks like asparagus in the spring and then it opens up. It's horsetail.
But these plants are doing pretty good actually, considering they were planted, I don't know, a couple of weeks behind the others at least.
Yeah.
And but they didn't get healed as well, so we'll just see how these go. We might start using these first.
On this side of the driveway, we planted the other variety of huckleberries, and they have really shot up too, and they're starting to set some fruit. So it'll be interesting to see how they compare. And down in here on this side is the yellow pear tomatoes. They're a little cherry variety. They're really nice. And about half the fence row is planted in them. This side of the driveway, the sorghum, this is sorghum here. It's come up, although it's kind of patchy. I don't think it liked the water too much. And about a quarter of that is done in the sorghum. Oh, I see a lot of it's disappeared. This is the hybrid corn. And it looks like something's eating it. Little holes in the leaves, kind of like they've been ripped. I'm hoping it'll do okay. It's planted almost all the way down the length of the driveway in a grid pattern.